Let me know Denise when you're ready. Go. Oh, okay. So we're gonna call the order 6:05. And we're appointing a temporary board of finance chair for this meeting.
I need to put Amy Wynn in the position of temporary chair. Second.
Any discussion?
John also started a motion, but we couldn't hear him. Can we hear you, John?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now we can, yes.
Do
Okay.
we have a motion on the floor? Did he hear it?
I don't know.
Yes, I did hear it. I was gonna nominate someone else, so I don't know how you want to handle that.
We'll work through the first motion. We'll go, then if it doesn't pass, we'll go to the second one.
Okay.
How's that work? I mean, you have
Take
two.
nominees.
All right, we just have nominees. Okay. So it's just for temporary chair for today.
Any other nominations? John?
Yes, nominate Carol Stats.
Okay, great. Okay. So I have, just to get through the meeting today, all in favor of Amy Wynn, me, chairing for today.
You should have a second.
You have to have.
We have a second for.
Oh, okay.
I
didn't hear it.
But I don't
Yeah.
have a second for you. So.
I guess you
but-
do.
No,
Okay.
Steve's.
I second for Amy.
Okay. Okay. Do I have a second for John's motion? Okay. All in favor of, me chairing the meeting for today? Say aye.
Aye.
So no,
I have two, I.
You have to do roll call.
Okay,
This is Zoom.
Tom,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
I don't have any, alternates right now.
Abstain.
Carol,
Abstain.
abstain, John,
Abstain.
abstain. I am eyeing me, so I don't know what that means. If I have three to chair the meeting.
That's right.
So we have five.
Motion carries.
Yeah. Motion.
Okay, great. Seating of alternates and
Make a motion, we seat Ginger.
for Dave. Great.
No.
No, just she has to be signed, she has to come on as an
He's not
alternate
seated for
first.
anyone. Dave's
Yeah.
on.
She has to come on as an alternate first, I think,
For an
right?
empty, but it doesn't have to be for an empty slot.
Do we,
It isn't
do we
up to
assign her?
she,
Okay,
we have 5 members that are currently on the Board of Finance for this meeting.
right.
We have an open spot.
Mhm.
We would normally seat an alternate for that meeting, for
For
this
that open
meeting.
spot.
That's it. So we would be, the motion is to seat
Ginger for the open
Ginger.
spot.
for the open spot for this meeting.
But then we're gonna
Yeah, but for
appoint
this.
somebody
this-
to
no,
fill the
for this is
vacancy.
just for this meeting.
This is just for the alternate for this meeting, just to
Right.
get 6.
Great, so
Yeah.
do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second.
I
Yeah,
think
got it.
Carol's
Yeah,
got
yeah,
it.
yeah.
You all right,
Great.
Carol?
So-
Yeah, I got it.
You second?
Yes.
Okay. And Steve.
It's
Any,
Carol and Steve.
Yeah, Carol is.
Carol
Motion.
and Steve. Thank you. And thank you, Carol, and thank you, Steve. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Okay, so we're. Motion carries. Public comment?
I do have one.
Yes, Denise.
And it's my frustration since the last meeting, so I wrote it down.
Identify yourself.
Denise Cohn, but you don't have to do that, Dave, by
Okay.
statute, but anyway. So I wrote this down and you may not agree with me, but as a taxpaying citizen and as someone who pays attention, I'm pretty frustrated with the way finances are being held in this town. Only the Board of Finance can approve an expenditure before it's incurred. In any department. The first selectman, the treasurer, nor the commission has the authority to spend over their department's budget. Having all that spent in the end of June or the last month of the year is not an excuse to having to follow state statutes. We used to do it that way. I look back in minutes in 2022. These departments would come to the Board of Finance and say, hey, this line item is over in our budget. Can we move it? And get permission from the Board of Finance. And I'm not picking on the rec commission. I have applauded their efforts 1,000 times. 12,000 this year, 13,000 last year, 5,000 the year before. Now in 2022, they went to the Board of Finance in early June and said, we think we're going to be 5,000 over. and they got the transfer. And they were only over at the end of the year $54. Every department worked that way until recently. That's not what the taxpayers elected you guys to do. You are the only ones with the authority to go over budget. And it's not being followed, and it's disappointing, and I'm hoping that that stops this year. Only you have authority to allow that, not anyone else.
Can I, I
Thank
did
you.
my own research, which I guess is part of what you said, because I was concerned about how things are handled as well.
So this is a public comment.
This is part of hers, but I'm gonna give this to everybody because I printed it up for everybody. As far as the statutes are concerned, when it comes to how these things are to be handled. And my concern is especially, do you want one? I don't know if anybody else wants one. My concern is especially when you read down the penalty line and the liability that this puts on us based on what state statutes are. This is a real concern of mine, that we follow the law. Not what's popular in town, but the law. And this is the law. And we are not following that. And again, it's not to be mad at any department or have a problem with any department. It's the law. It's our liability. It's my personal liability. Every person that's sitting on this board right now is responsible. And if there's a problem, we're gonna get sued. And we need to go back to following the law first. Once we've done that, then we can move on. But you really need to read this statute. It's very clear as to what our obligations are. And we need to, and I'll get into this further later, but it just was right up in line with what she said to a degree. So read it over. It's
Do you want to attach to the minutes?
yes, please.
Okay, thank you. So we've had two public comments. Any other? Okay. So we need to appoint a member to the Board of Finance to fill the vacancy. Can I have do I have any motion?
Make a motion to appoint Ginger.
Second.
Seconded.
This is my friend.
Okay, any
Second.
comments?
I have a comment. So after reading statute 7340A and 343, don't think we require a special meeting to seat an elected alternate. We do need a special meeting to elect or to seat an alternate that's
No.
not elected. Okay,
Thank
I
you.
confirmed that with somebody who was in the position of in Board of Finance in previous years. They said they didn't usually need, or they did not remember needing a special meeting to seat an elected
Elected.
alternate
Okay.
for the Board of Finance.
You mean to
fill
be
out the-
permanent?
Yes.
My question too. I did have that question. I just.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
validate that, but if you read the two statutes, it's legally, it's a little fuzzy, but I don't think an alternate.
Voted
to-
an elected.
Elected one, we need a special meeting to do that.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion on the table. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Hold on 1 minute. You've got to put the term, which is to the next
Till, it's
municipal
until the
election.
next, till the next municipal election, November 2020.
Or is it?
No, it's.
Oh,
it's
To the
November.
next
Doesn't
municipal-
matter what the length of term was for that seat?
Yes,
Yes,
length
it
of
does,
time.
but it goes to the next municipal election, and then that position will be open again to fill the 2
For that
years.
seat though, right?
For that
I have a
seat.
6-year seat, so it wouldn't be the next election for me, it would be the next election for my seat.
think
except for
2020.
me.
No, it is the next election. Anytime Board of Finance fills a vacancy,
Okay.
it's only to
So
the next
the
municipal
length of
election.
that seat was.
It's not this November.
It gets cut.
It is.
It's not. this
November 2025,
Right.
but then that
25,
municipal, Ginger's
25, yeah,
spot,
municipal, yeah.
Dave's
Resets.
term was 4 years.
It resets.
When that one no, it doesn't reset. It is to fill the remaining 2 years.
His
Okay,
term?
oh, I see, okay, I see.
It's already done 2 years?
Yeah, you can only
Okay.
appoint
That makes sense.
election.
Got it.
So-
Okay, all right, got it.
So this is to the next municipal election, which
Yep.
is November 2025.
I think it's the second.
And-
I'll get the date.
I'll tell you.
All, and I didn't hear John's vote.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. So
Did
motion,
everybody vote?
yes,
Yes.
motion carries. Now we have the Board of Finance
November.
Chair,
2020. Okay,
a Board of Finance Chair election to complete the term, which is through, is it through this November? I believe, because that's when the chair position was voted, only until this November. Is that, am I correct?
It's till the first meeting in November, the
This-
first regular meeting in this November.
This is, okay,
Hmm.
till the first regular meeting. Okay, so we need to have nominations for a chair of the Board of Finance to serve a term through through the end of our November meeting, our regular meeting.
I nominate Ginger Betty.
I'll
Mhm.
second.
And seconded by John. Any other nominations?
And nominate Amy Nguyen.
Okay.
I second that.
Um,
We had discussion.
yeah, discussion.
I would love to have a discussion because it's not anything personal, but back when we were doing the budget, Amy, you did resign because you didn't feel that it was a
Right.
position that you were qualified for.
No, I didn't say I wasn't
Well,
qualified for.
Well, that you didn't feel you knew enough about the statutes and everything else. And I think it's time that, Ginger's neutral, all right? She's in the, she's an accountant. And I just want a fresh start to this whole thing because I think there's been a lot of tension in this board that's unnecessary. But I do feel that you did resign when you had the position, and I think that I would like to move that Ginger take the position as a fresh face, neutral, no agendas at all. Not that anybody has agendas, but I just think that that's my position on that, and that's how I feel. I respect everybody on this board, but you know as well as I do, over the last couple of months, there's been a tremendous amount of tension in this room, and you can't deny it. And I think that that's my choice would be to go with somebody who's got she's basically neutral. She's sat in on meetings, she's well versed in accounting and good numbers person, and I think we need to have somebody like that that
Thank
can
you.
look at the numbers and just.
Okay, thanks.
I have
Carol.
a couple points. One,
Okay.
we haven't heard if Ginger is willing to serve in that capacity.
I am.
Okay.
Okay, that's great.
Secondly, I don't know if changing of the chair will change the tension in this group, but it'd be interesting to see.
I think is a good place to start.
The chairman isn't the only sole person who makes a decision. It's the board that makes the decision.
Yeah.
Correct.
And the chairman is the voice of the board
And also need to run the meetings
and needs to run the
Get the
meeting. So
agendas.
any voting is majority. So
Yeah.
I think Amy has been done a fine job. And Ginger just got on board as a full member. Nothing personal.
And John, would you like to add some comments?
Yeah, I favored Ginger, for two reasons. One, she has superior accounting and bookkeeping knowledge, which, I've detected a lack of on our board at important junctures. And second, I have not been satisfied with the quality of the process in our board meetings. Not just during the meetings that you chaired, Amy, but since then, our meetings just don't follow good order a lot of the time. And I'm not saying that Ginger's a superior parliamentarian, but I think there's merit in what Carol says. A fresh face is a good thing here, and that's my second reason. Superior knowledge on accounting and bookkeeping, and a fresh face to make sure that we conduct proper order.
Okay, any other comments? Okay. There's a motion on the floor for Ginger. And I have to take a roll call vote, I guess, based on what you've heard today. It's actually doesn't matter to me either way, I'm just letting people know. Tom,
Nay.
Ginger? Yeah.
Yes.
Are we voting on Ginger right now?
Yes,
Yes,
we
go
are.
ahead, John.
John?
Aye.
Okay. Otherwise, we're gonna be 3-3. I'm just gonna say, hey, Ginger, you can have it.
Sure.
I have no
Are
problem.
you sure?
Yeah, actually, I have no problem with it. I'm sorry. I appreciate the support. And I'm happy to support you in any way that you might need it, although I'm sure you have plenty of support.
I've got plenty of support
Yeah.
around this table.
Yeah, you.
And we're,
But should you need like a
Yeah.
sub once in a while? Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for your comments. So, I'm going to.
Excuse me, this is effective now or at
After
the
the
next
meeting.
meeting?
Next regular meeting.
Yes, thanks for clarification. Okay, great. We are now, our next agenda item is to review and discuss the line item surpluses and deficit for the year ending June 30th. And there's our report from Michelle. We have her for a short period of time, so if you have questions for her about the report, I think it's pretty straightforward, but I could be wrong. And then, of course, we can, I do have a proposal of the transfers that could be made to meet the request for the allocations for the year ending June 30th.
discussion or what, how do we? So,
John, I know your hand is up, but we don't see it, so you might want to just,
kind of
What
thing,
in?
I'm here.
I don't know how to.
or ask to be recognized.
I think
Thank you.
before I don't know where we are on this, because, we're just talking about this right now, but I think you need to look at the statute. I think I would prefer that we not make a decision on these points, because you need to review the statute and you need to know what the law is. And I think I'd like to table this to the next regular meeting, so that you guys can all review this and we can establish, the right way to do things.
Are you
You're
moving to
making a
table the
motion.
item?
I am making a motion that we table any discussion on this until our next regular meeting.
Is there a second?
Second,
John seconding discussion?
I am not available to be at the next meeting, so be happy to.
Ask you. Okay, so in the meantime, on the tabling of this, is there, I'd like to say that this, in spite of the statute, this is a practice that the Board of Finance has done.
It's the law. It is not a practice. It's the law. We can be sued as individuals on this and wind up having to foot the bill for this. This is not whether we've done it this way in the past. I'm not trying to be a hard ass about this, but this is the law. This is the law. That's what they're here for,
So
not for
broken-
false
What-
knowledge.
What changes though? What changes?
Well,
The money's
we-
already spent, what changes?
It doesn't matter if the money's already, read the statute, read it.
I'll read
We
it.
have to make a decision to go to town meeting based on statute.
For anything over 2,000.
But it does gonna
It says
be
right here,
an
over
excess
2,000.
of appropriation. Are we going excess of appropriation? No, I mean, I agree,
Yeah.
I agree with your point, Denise. I have to go back to the point of
With
that
Carol,
it should be, I'm gonna go back to the point that it should have been brought up during the year. So
Correct, and,
let's start there.
Including our own board.
but Dave
Yes.
doesn't have.
Science is over.
But no, but Dave doesn't have to spend in
for right now?
Yeah. I agree that it should have come up during the year. I agree fully with that. The question is, municipal accounting, I believe this is the appropriate way for municipal accounting, is you do have to balance out at the end, as long as you're not going over the full appropriation for the full year. The total budget. At the same time, it is not the right way to do it.
It isn't, because you might as well just say, well, here's our budget, take what you want, because you can't grant permission to do things just based on, you have line items that say, this is what we're gonna spend on this. The taxpayers have given us that responsibility to look at this and say, that's what you're gonna spend. If you go over that line item, you don't have permission to just tell somebody go over the line item. You don't, but that's happened in the past. The statute says it has to be brought to you, you bring it to the Board of Finance, we make the decision as to whether we need to take this to town meeting. That has not been done. We need to operate this Board of Finance as a Board of Finance, follow the laws.
All right,
And we're not looking to attack any individuals or make a stink about anything. We need to follow the law. And let me finish,
I'm gonna
please.
finish.
I may finish. Regardless of whether the money's been spent already, is irrelevant to this point, which is why I'd like to table it till the next meeting. It's not to pick on Michelle or to pick on anybody. It's to get this Board of Finance operating the way the Board of Finance is supposed to operate, not by saying, well, this is the way we've always done it. And this one said we could do this. Guess what? this tells us the way we have. to
Sure,
do
but tabling it, what does that gain us?
It gives us a chance to be able to discuss this further, for you guys to review the statute so that we know what we have to do going forward.
Discussion can happen right now in a special meeting that we call. So I'm not sure what tabling in a month actually does to solve the problem. I agree that
I
there's a
just don't
problem
think
that we
we
went
should
over. I get
But I
that.
don't think just because the bills were paid, we should just say the taxpayers of this town have the right to a town meeting to
Right.
make the decisions on these things.
So I'd like to ask,
John,
just a
How does-
second, I want to just give Carol a chance to help me understand what process would ensue. So let's say, Carol, that whether at this meeting or a future meeting, we have this discussion. So what do you think the nature of that discussion would result in? Would we then say, we need a formal presentation from each department about going over at that meeting? And then we would make a motion to go to town meeting. I just.
We have to make the motion to go to town meeting, because any person in the town of Falls Village can come to us and say that we didn't have the right to do that. At which point they can sue us. All right, let me finish, please.
Yeah.
By having a meeting and deciding to table this and discussing this and calling for a town meeting, we're telling anybody out there that's looked at us and said, look, you screwed up, you shouldn't have done it this way, but we are resolving that, we're going back to do it the right way. It takes any kind of burden, as far as I know, for penalty, because we've showed that we found a mistake and we're fixing it. By just going ahead and saying, okay, go ahead, these have been paid, that's it. We're not doing the people's work. We're not doing what the taxpayers have elected us to do. We're
So-
just saying it's okay to overspend your budget.
Right, so your point
And you
is
don't have the
well
money.
made. My question to you though is, if we tabled it, would you then say, I make a motion to go to town meeting with
Absolutely.
these here today?
I don't know if we can make that. Can we make that?
Well, we're
motion to go
having
to
this
town meeting?
discussion,
Then yes, I would make a
We-
motion that we do go to town meeting.
that's
to just-
not,
okay.
but not
Hold on,
yet.
we're
You
in
are
the middle of a
tabling.
motion.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
The
what-
the motion on the table, that's what I would do.
No, hold on, so,
That's
hold on.
very
Good
helpful
point.
to me.
Wait,
That's
wait,
a good
wait.
point.
So if we follow through on this motion, I don't know if we can make a motion to do that because that's not on the agenda.
It's in
It's
this.
not on the agenda. It's a gray area.
It's a review and discuss.
I think review and discussion.
So the motion should incorporate both things?
I think it-
I don't know if it can. I
No,
think it might
no,
have to
the
be two
motion
separate
should-
motions.
It's gotta be two
Discussion.
different motions.
Two separate motions.
Oh, Dan, John, can you speak?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're getting caught up in procedural things before we really focus on the substance. And I want to start with the substance. There are two provisions in the stuff that Carol handed out. Section 7347 and 7348. 348 is the governing principle for going over your budget. And no department chairman is permitted to commit to spend beyond their budget, much less to actually go ahead and spend beyond their budget before coming to the Board of Finance. Now, we know what happened here, that the various boards not only committed to spend more, they went ahead and spent more. So that they clearly violated 7348. Had they come to us, we would have said what we always do when people ask for a supplementary appropriation. If we think it's a good idea, we say yes. And if the aggregate supplementary expenditures thus far have not exceeded $20,000, we can act on it without going to a town meeting. But in this case, not only did they not come to us, but we've already used up, I think it's $13,000+ of the 20,000 that were permitted to appropriate without a town meeting. Doing $20,000 more would place us well over the $20,000 limit. Now, there may be some belief that some of you may have that those defects are cured simply by taking money out of an underspent account and applying it to an overspent account. I believe that is not an accurate reading of the statute. I believe it's a borderline baseless reading of the statute. And so Carol is right. There is a provision 7349 that places any town officer, not just us, but the people in charge of the department who overspent, theoretically, the selectmen who didn't bring this before the Board of Finance, the treasurer, a whole bunch of people would be potential defendants were anybody inclined to sue. Now, I'm not saying people are going to line up to sue us, but if they did, a lot of people would potentially be a target. And there's a very easy fix. And it's the one Carol talked about. We simply refer all these transfers from one department to another, the ones that are listed on the motion that Amy put together and that Michelle listed. We simply refer that to a town meeting, and then all errors are cured.
And we're set for the next year to be in compliance too.
Plus, we go forward
Right.
establishing the
Practice.
rules.
And
So to
So,
speak.
actually, when so I do want to mention, we have a motion to table this discussion, but we're already having the discussion, so can we take the tabling of this discussion off?
We're in discussion mode of that
He
motion.
asked to,
So, but do I have to remove the motion or
No, only the board.
What was the
commission can
motion?
withdraw the motion.
what was the motion?
Table.
to table
So withdraw, it, you need
so that we can have
I'd
further
like, yeah,
discussion
I'd like to,
and go to town meeting?
I'd
But
like to ask for a motion to withdraw the tabling so we can continue the discussion. Can I have a motion to withdraw?
okay, I'll
tabling?
make that motion to withdraw so we can, I know where you're going with
Thank
this. Yeah.
As second,
Second.
thanks, Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I just want
John?
to keep it up.
So can we make a
John?
motion? John, can we make a motion?
Wait, John, did you vote?
yes, I voted in favor of withdrawing the motion to table. I'm doing so, as I think other people are, on the assumption, Amy, that the reason you're entertaining this move is that if there's agreement among us to refer this to a town meeting, we can do it now as opposed to.
Can we do it now?
Is that the idea?
Yeah, that is, the idea is to continue this discussion and make some decisions. I mean, as chair, of the meeting, I would love to have some decision made. I would not like to delay it. So I think within the discussion, we can make some decisions jointly as a group to address this.
Well, that's
So-
what I think that's what we're doing by
Right,
making a
exactly.
motion that, I think we need to make a motion to make this right. Make a
So-
motion for Dave, I guess, I don't know, the selectman to call a town meeting to make
So
this
I'll
right.
make a
So right
motion.
now-
I'll make
Wait
a,
a minute, I just wanna make sure we have discussion going on right now on item 7. So before there's another motion, Ginger and Tom, I think.
No,
Go
you're not
ahead.
in discussion mode.
We're not in discussion mode now.
We're in no mode.
We're in no mode because we removed the,
We don't have a motion.
Well,
We
yes,
are
we do.
allowed to
no, I
review
took the
and
motion off.
And unanimous, but there's nothing to discuss right now. You don't have a motion. on
We
the
have to
table.
make it,
an item to review and discuss these
So it
surpluses.
should just, if you make,
yeah, you don't have to have a
We
motion to
need a
do that.
motion
You
to
don't need it.
discuss.
We don't need a motion to discuss this, do we?
Now that we're not tabling discussing,
We do?
we can discuss this now.
technically.
It's an agenda item.
Yeah, it's an agenda item, but we technically need something to move it along.
So if I make a motion to take this, I don't know what,
The
The proposed-
the
transfer.
proposed transfers to town meeting,
Recommend a time.
recommend a town meeting. That's what my motion is. So I'm making that motion, but it needs to be seconded now in order for us to discuss it.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
John is second. Okay, any discussion? Are there any pros and cons to doing that? There are people here who see any problem with doing
I
that.
have one question just for my own benefit. And that is, we're going to recommend these transfers. This is going to affect those departments down the road in their budgets when we go to budget again. Because they did not spend this money. Unless we are going to completely appropriate more money.
Well, that ship has sailed as far as the budget. I mean, it's a mess, but
I
Yeah.
understand, but when we were looking through the budget and going through, if we take, a certain X amount of dollars from,
town garage or
town
whatever.
garage.
Yeah.
If I may. Okay, some of the monies that you'll see here, especially having to do with the DPW, Department of Public Works, that's overtime. Okay, that's budgeted overtime. Now, we were fortunate this year.
We didn't.
We didn't have a number of snowstorms.
Right.
So that's one of the things that when we originally put a budget together, we look at those numbers and be honest with you, we look at what we've had in the past because you don't know what
Right.
we're going to have for weather. So you're going to see those overages continue should we have good weather. It's kind of like when we were looking at our salt and sand this year, we're in good shape. We didn't use as much. So again, realize that in any budget year, you're going to have some monies come back. All right. If the first selectman doesn't spend all the equipment that he needs, if he decides not to buy a new computer or something like that, you're going to have that money come back. So again, I think you have to look at it and say, all right, we're always going to have an overage somewhere. Why? Because it's kind of like legal funds.
Yeah.
Okay. If we don't
That's what I
use
want.
them, that's fine. If we use them, again.
So Ginger, if I may,
I think that was an example too, just so you know, for the record, that was just an example you used, right?
I just, what you're talking about did happen in the previous year.
Right. That's why we had that overage.
So those numbers were in.
Nobody's complaining about we're not complaining about the numbers here. That's,
No, but that's why we have the overage.
right.
The numbers from before did include stuff like that.
But $105,000 is a pretty hefty overage budget wise.
so I just.
Unexpected unexpended
Unexpended-
balance is $105,417.39. That's a lot of money.
So, Ginger, was your concern that this would impact our decisions as Board of Finance when we look at different budgets going forward? Potentially, because it's all about how you approach the budgeting process.
Exactly.
Okay,
And
so it's just,
these, I mean, some of these would not be part of, if I understand this properly. Something like the general assistance. Has the right to flex,
Yes. it's
Without-
statute.
so, you know, not that they're all going to, but.
Mhm.
What's general public safety? I know.
General public,
assistance.
it's exactly what it says, general
General
public safety.
assistance. It's
No,
non-public.
safety, safety.
Oh, public
No,
safety.
general public safety.
Fire marshal.
Fire marshal and all that. And
Amy, can I be recognized?
Oh,
yes,
okay.
excuse me, John would like to be recognized. John?
I just want to say one thing to Ginger. I can understand as the incoming chair, she doesn't want to make a decision today that's going to unfairly prejudice what we will do next year when we budget the lines next year. I, for one, I agree with Dave, this is a department by department thing and really a line by line thing. If there's a
Mhm.
specific area of town need that we know is going to fluctuate, it's going to be high one year, low another, I would never hold it against that line that it didn't spend as much as we budgeted in a particular year. So I don't think you
Yeah.
should be worried about
Don't worry about
prejudice,
next.
intelligent
Yeah.
future
Point
decisions
that could
by putting this
Happen.
to.
I actually brought it up too.
I can't think. Okay, John, did you finish saying what you wanted to?
Yeah, I keep getting feedback. I don't know if people are talking while other people are talking or what. I'll just say it quickly one more time. Ginger, I would not be concerned about the possibility that we refer this to a town meeting as in some injurious way prejudicing one of the departments next year. I would certainly not budget with that kind of thinking in mind. So I'm trying to reassure you.
Okay, and Steve, you had a comment?
Yeah, I wanted to ask John, you're more concerned about protocol for the future?
I'm concerned, and I'm not trying to be flip, Steve. I'm concerned about following the rules.
Yes,
not
well,
because of-
that's,
And so
yeah, that's what I mean.
yeah, it's not merely protocol. It is protocol, but it's protocol that's driven by the rules. I just want to make sure that nobody overspends their budget without coming to us first and saying, will you approve this? That's the proper procedure. It's the required procedure.
Well, and also you don't want to, none of us want to put the town or any people who are working on behalf of the town in a in a vulnerable
Mhm.
position
Right.
legally.
And another way to think about it, Steve, is that it simply is not within the province of a department chairman to overspend their budget on the assumption that some other department will be underspent and they can cover the shortfall. That's just
No,
not something a department
I
chairman.
agree. I agree. So what we're discussing is, the overage amount. We would go to a town meeting and,
Get approved for these things.
Yeah, the transfers.
Exactly.
for each item.
Each
And
transfer. Yeah.
then we would be, clean for the new year, for the new fiscal year, or the new fiscal year. And we would start, as you're saying, according to statute.
Do we have to
Yes.
do each individual line?
That was gonna be my point of order. Do you need to do each individual line?
Or can you have it in one proposal? Like
That's what I'm
I'm
thinking.
wondering if we could have it in, and again, I would have to double check whether you could have it in just one proposal.
The subject is each line though, isn't it?
Yes, the subject is each line, yes, I guess, but for the purposes of what we're looking to do, we're looking to just clean the slate and get this
could
moved
do it.
along
You could
so
do
that we're all covered.
Yeah, you could do it for me.
Motions.
Was done.
1, 2, 3 instead, and say, you could list them that way.
And a couple of them you don't even need to look at, even social service,
Right.
general assistance,
Right.
because by
They're
statute
not-
they can overspend.
Yeah.
And we don't have anything having to do with wow, I'm gonna have to ask, part of fire commission was for building maintenance.
See, one of the things I'm concerned about, I guess we could talk about it at the next meeting too, because it doesn't have to do with what we're trying to do here. What I'm trying to do here is, as things go along, who's responsible for saying we're almost at budget?
Chairman.
Wait, let me finish. You're about to go over, they can't sign an invoice, they can't order anything, they can't do anything, even have something out there to be delivered or whatever. I don't know what the boards would be. So who would call the head of the chairman of that particular board and say, you are almost, maybe you better look at this, what are we gonna need later on? So that we don't get into this problem. Who does that? I mean, is it Michelle's responsibility? Is it each chairperson's responsibility?
I think it would be the chairperson.
Responsible, knowing that their budget, that they're coming close, because, you know, the overage is, this is based on what I saw, and I could be wrong on my numbers, because I'm not a numbers person, but this is a $16,000 swing on the Recreation Commission. Right? I mean, it's not, it's what they spent before, and then,
Right.
you know, they're asking for $12,000 more, but they had already budgeted something. At what point does somebody say, whoa, you guys are already at budget, you better not spend anything until we have a discussion about this? That's what we haven't done, and that's why we are in the situation that we are here right now.
Before it comes to us, they have to come to the selectmen
Yeah.
first.
Right, but somebody has to set up, there has to be a red flag that says boom, 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 we're gonna overspend, or we need to do this, and then it goes to them, and then he brings it to us. That's the way it should be. But this is, again, after the fact, there's nothing we can do about this. This is after the fact, it's happened, but we need to resolve how it happened and why it happened, because somebody wasn't watching the store. Whether it's the department head, I'm picking on you right now, okay, just so you know, I'm picking on you, whether it was you, who it was, it doesn't matter. Somebody wasn't watching the store, and that's why this happened.
So, and this August 24th is different than I had originally got.
Right.
She just, I think she just filled in some stuff. It was, the numbers weren't different. You just, I need a little more of an explanation.
This one is right.
I have the 21st is what I have.
First one is
That's
last.
right.
Okay.
But like there was some changes.
Yeah.
So
And
just
you
because-
filled in some stuff here that's
Yes,
different.
right. I just don't want.
But
if
again,
you tell me
nobody's
what
picking
you
on
want-
it. We just need to figure out.
So
how
there's a
it's-
motion on the table. And Michelle, do you have any other thing?
I mean, I think, the hardest part of, the biggest one of this is obviously the rec
Right.
commission. I think the decision made to open the pool in the spring with salaries was, you know, what pushed it over.
Yeah, but that's pushing it over a lot, because that's what I'm saying, you know,
Things like that was kind of a difficult.
but the pool didn't open until when?
I would have to look, I can't tell you off the top of my head.
It's the 26th of what, May?
June.
June. That's only a week. So we have to look, again, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah,
We
I'm
have to
just
look at,
thinking
we have to look at
this
why this happened.
Right.
Okay, and if you need it tarred and feathered, we'll do it in the center of town, and, okay, just so you know, so everybody can be there, but I don't think it's any one person created the problem. I think right now, it's a function of the whole system, right, and we need to address it.
Think it. The catchphrase here is clean it up.
Clean it up,
The
exactly,
process.
the
That's
process.
the process and the process and making sure that the departments are aware of what their balance is, where they're at in their budget on either a quarterly basis.
I mean, it's not like this group of people that are gonna say, no, you can't have your money. Talk to us, let us know what you're at, we need to know what financial situation we're in, that's our job.
Is there anything else you wanted to? Okay, great. Okay.
So we have to make a
So,
vote on,
we have a motion to go to town meeting.
and it's
It's
Dave,
already been seconded.
And it's been
No,
seconded,
you haven't.
and
but do we have to make a motion to ask the selectmen to take it to town meeting? Should that be how the motion's written?
Yes.
Recommended town meeting to transfers as attached to the minutes. I'm gonna just attach that August 21.
Right,
Yes.
the August 21 one, yeah. So
and
the
so
motion's
the,
in-
the selectmen will, schedule a town meeting.
Because we have several other things that we need to go to town meeting on, so this would
Okay.
Just add it to it.
just add it to it.
And then we'll find out whether or not, I don't know the answer, and you don't either, as to whether or not we have to do it line by line.
I would think you have to look at it each line, but I think you can put it together in a
As bunches?
format. Much
Yeah.
like Amy had
Yeah.
now.
Help me do it. And
Right, but I mean, that would be either format though, but I kind of like this one.
Okay. So,
We make a vote?
all in favor of the motion that the selectmen schedule a town meeting to vote on the transfers of funds as described in Michelle's memo of August 21st. And when would that meeting be? Or you not sure yet?
I am not sure right at
Then that's fine.
this moment in time.
So we gotta
Right.
go off the
What
second
did we
going,
say,
sorry,
right?
Denise, you
Michelle-
need it.
No, you don't, you don't.
Michelle- Michelle's attachment does not include the recommendation of where the funds come from.
That
So-
will follow.
Hmm.
From us.
That needs to be part of the motion.
Well, you want to do the math now then? Is that what you want to do? Might as well. It's not hard.
No, I mean, you've got most of it right there.
Yeah.
Not most of it, but
Well,
some of it.
the-
But we have to determine don't we have to don't we have to get the approval of the town first to do this?
No.
Do we have to
No,
tell them
you're
when
gonna
we're
vote on
transferring?
it. Yes.
You're going there with a plan.
Yeah, we're gonna go over the plan.
So we have to say, take this $12,000 from here, take this from
Yep.
there, that's what we have to do?
Yeah, it's okay.
All right.
I'm just going to,
See that line item right there?
I mean, I
Yeah, no,
have
I
it
know
in the
that, I know that.
spreadsheet.
That's what we're
so
gonna.
I'll just change the numbers in the spreadsheet.
I'll come from one line.
Just pull off and
Well, you could do it all from one line.
Yeah, no, absolutely, but we have to say that now.
That would be great.
Could do it right.
It's your motion.
Yeah, just add it to come out from the road maintenance,
3001.
Yes.
Yeah.
3001,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
3001. We can take it all
Yeah,
from one place.
Transfer from to as noted on the attachment.
On Michelle's August 21st, 2024.
Excellent, beautiful, Carol, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 John?
Aye.
Okay. So we will.
He keeps raising his
await
hand.
word from you.
He says that's it.
About,
Madam Secretary, if you can give me that motion so that I can put it on a town meeting.
I'll send you the minutes, but you have it officially, okay?
So I have the proper wording. Thank you, Ginger.
okay, is there any other public comment?
I of course have one.
Denise,
The Board of Finance set a policy a while back. I don't remember what year it was, but I know Dickie Hines was the chair. That stated, no line item the Board of Selectmen cannot approve an expenditure that was more than 10% or $500, whichever is less, without Board of Finance approval on any line item.
You mean the word selectman can't, right? Is that what
Board
you
of
said?
Selectmen cannot basically sign a check.
I remember that.
I don't
I
know what's
believe-
happened to that policy.
Well,
That was where,
but
my
it was.
that was gonna be my
Thank
part of
you
public comment.
yeah, actually, thank you for the public comment. We do have from our last meeting, a number of things that Ginger may decide to put on the agenda that we didn't have a chance to talk about. It just was a very long agenda last time. And one of them was, how do we want to address the resurfacing, the reacquiring of past policies so that we can review them, update, I'm just, yeah. So if you want to put that on the agenda for the future, you made that point last time, Denise. Thank you for making it again. That policies are missing, and those are our guidelines for us. There was another agenda item also for the next meeting, and that was Lou Timelot had asked also for legal expenses to be reinstated as originally budgeted. So there are a few agenda items, Ginger, that you can consider for the next agenda, and any of us can make requests
Yeah.
to you for the agenda,
I was gonna ask your,
those things to be on.
to put Lou's issue on the agenda.
Yes,
I've had a couple of people come to me.
yeah, me too. Dave,
If I may, and I apologize for missing the last meeting. I was at a funeral. Okay. I was wondering if anyone had reached out with King and King regarding
that was on me. I was
Okay.
going to be doing that,
okay, regarding
and I'll
water.
report back. I'm just gonna reach out to the Watertown contact, actually. So that's on my list of things to do, and I just haven't had done it
Okay.
yet.
Anybody have Dick Hines' telephone number?
Yes,
Cause I would like that, cause unless you've done it already, ask him about the policy, because,
we'd have the discussion at the.
no, to see if he has a policy, the old policy that's
We-
missing. That's
Well,
what,
there's many, and so I thought, I mean, you could certainly
Whole
do
thing's
that.
missing.
I can give you his number, certainly. I was just thinking at the next meeting, if we can talk about how do we want to go about getting them? Dick Hines is one source. That's a very good suggestion, but there are others as well. And I can give you Dick Hines' number.
yeah, I do, I don't have it, I sent him an email, but I don't have it. And anybody else who was past chair might have it for
I
whatever.
talked to Lou, he said he threw everything away.
Source of that too.
Yeah,
I had it in his house. so-
Yeah, I could.
Dan,
Yes.
Dan Silverman, who might. be a
Oh,
good
he might
source.
have some too, yeah, he
Yeah.
could. I don't know.
Saying do it in a very organized way. Personally, I wouldn't just have each of us kind of contacting here and there, but of course, whatever
Call
you
Dick.
think best.
Call Dick.
If you
and then-
want to do that
Yeah.
on your
Just
own, that's fine.
Shoot me his.
I wouldn't recommend it, but it's up to you. I mean, everyone is their own, can decide it on
So I
their own.
have one last public comment.
Yes, Tom.
I do believe that we have operated the Board of Finance in a very loose fashion with respect to. What our primary job is. Our job is to pass resolutions, right? So when we were having a discussion post motion, I'm gonna research that in my parliamentary procedure books. But I do believe in order for there to be any discussion, there has to be a motion on the floor.
Even if it's an agenda item to discuss,
Our job is to pass resolutions.
not to discuss,
Well, discussion is for, you know,
once a motion is on the table.
yes, exactly. That's everything we want once there's a motion to do something.
I see.
I don't believe we could just have random discussions. If we want to formalize the meeting,
Mhm.
our job should be to
Great.
make resolutions. So
Yeah, I question that too, because I'm
Yes.
more in line with you.
I
In the sense that, it's already on the agenda, so we can discuss it, we can look at the paperwork and talk about it, so I don't know if we need a motion. I don't know, I just.
I'm not looking for procedure-
Yeah,
but-
yeah, absolutely, because I just, yeah,
our job is to work through the agenda and make resolutions. Motions,
discuss them.
pass motions, et cetera. Not to have random conversations.
Excellent.
Excuse me.
I mean, I appreciate that kind of clarification. Any other public comment?
Yes, Robert's Rule of Order is with the board or commission that have less than 12 members, you do not have to have a motion on the floor to discuss. But it's up to the Board of Finance to decide. But another point of order, these discussions can't happen in a special meeting.
There you go.
oh, they can't,
These discussions we've all been having.
oh,
So you can.
so we have
clarify
to
some
actually
things.
stick firmly to this.
And
on a
special
special
meeting,
meeting.
yes.
Okay,
But if I can make one more point, this happens a lot with the Board of Finance, since we're on this roll. You can't pass a motion unless the item has been put on the agenda, and it happened twice last meeting. So you just gotta,
You can't pass a motion
until
for a
something has been
special
put
meeting.
on, no.
no,
You
then
put
you're
something
talking,
on the agenda before you can make a motion to do something, and that happened twice at the last meeting, so we just gotta be a little more careful with how we. Do this public comment, not for discussion, not a special meeting.
Enjoy. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Carol, thank you. Stedman, Steve, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
John? John.
He's raising his hand.
Okay, very good.
Thanks, John.
Have a lovely evening, everyone.
And everyone, thank you for your